Hello, my friends, and welcome to a space where pleasure is treasured, relaxation is not what you think it is, and life firing on all cylinders is what we're about. If you are somebody who wakes up every day asking for way more, consider this your happy place. Welcome to the Creation of Living podcast. I'm your host, Heather Nichols. Let's dive in. Hello there, everybody. It's Heather Nichols here. And man, it feels like I haven't recorded a podcast in a long time, even though I did like a week ago. So much happens in a week around here. It's kind of crazy. Is that true for you as well? I think, when you're playing with a lot of change and a lot of new choices every day, exploring new possibilities, even if you've, felt maybe a little bit more in a rut, like time can really have that sense of like, wow, a lot goes on in a short period of time. That's definitely the case for me these days, more than ever. And I've been really deep diving with myself and my body, and I'll call her like my little girl. I've been doing some writing. I'm really excited. I'm going to be publishing some stuff and starting a Substack channel. I've always loved writing, and I'm getting very excited for Substack and to start publishing things there. So you can follow me there very soon. Well, you can follow me there now already. There is not anything yet posted, but there will be soon. And I've been doing some writing just about me as a little girl, like some things that occurred in my life that I didn't even really remember. Sometimes there's those like pivotal moments that really shape who we become, and or really it's more like who we think we are. And they shape our choices to diminish ourselves and to negate ourselves. And as children, we don't even realize that that's happening. We just kind of think that we're like educating ourselves and being educated in the ways of the world. We don't know anything, we're not aware enough to know how this whole thing works. So we need to be told, we need to be shown, we need to be educated. And I know, having been in conversation with so many people who are, seeking for something different and really like willing to explore themselves, so many people, I think, get to this point where they realize, they start to see where they gave up on themselves, where they gave up on their magic, where they gave up on their creative possibilities. And it's been very healing for me to write and tell the story of some of these things that tiny little events in my life that seemed totally insignificant, that really played a big part in me kind of shutting myself down. And it's not about going into the story and having a big thing and having it be very traumatic and dramatic. I'm not really a fan of that. I did used to be a psychotherapist. I was a body-centered psychotherapist, and there was actually, the work that I did was really cool because there was really, I would say, sort of like using the story in a generative way to access material to work with through our bodies and our worlds. And also, the story can be something that really sticks you, where you stop with the story. You kind of start to, like, as soon as you start telling yourself your story, you're limited. So we've got to use the story and with the potency that it gifts us for the freedom that we can have, rather than the story that we hold on to and cling onto to be victims. And so it's been, I've been like liberating a lot of magic in my own inner world from these stories that I've been exploring and writing and just, looking into more on my own. And one of the things that I really saw through this one particular story is how I actually saw this moment where I basically turned my magic against me. And so I wanted to record this podcast today about that, because that is something that we do. It's something that we all, well, a lot of magical creatures as children, the world can't really handle us, our intensity, our immensity. Like, we are huge beings, very vibrant, very enthusiastic, very exuberant, alive, full of just aliveness, and that can even have some sexual energies that aren't about sex, but they are just like the aliveness. Like, we use this term in access consciousness, sexualness, and I love that term because it describes the energies of when you're fully being, when you're like really living fully with your body, and you're also being very, in a big way, very dynamically, and there's a fullness and a like intensity of healing, caring, nurturing, kind energies, generative, creative energies, joyful, expansive, and orgasmic energies. And those are all part of the sexualness that we be. And children have that. They don't inhibit that. They're kind, they're caring, they're healing creatures, they're exuberant, they're, joyful, they're expansive, they're creative creatures. And the world is like, nope, 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 not that, not that, not you, not there, not. And so the world starts to really kind of shut us down by educating us out of those energies and teaching us that they're, not safe, not good, not, people can't handle them. So people start to impel a lot of intense energy at you, and then you shut down more and more and more. And I know for me, it was like just trying to really make myself fit in a way that didn't cause too many ripples, because when I caused ripples, which I just do, did, do, never really have been able to not, however hard I've tried. But when I caused those ripples in the universe, I could perceive it really powerfully because I was very psychic and aware, and I still am. But also, I would, there was such an intense amount of judgment and like shut down energy that would come my way that I would, it was so, I didn't understand it. It was so hard to receive. And so I would just kind of cower into myself, and shut myself down in order to just, it was like, I'd rather shut myself down and adjust me than deal with how much people can't handle me, basically. um, and that's not the case anymore. So I'm glad about that. But within this whole thing here is really the kind of core of what I wanted to speak about today, and that is where we turn our magic against us. And we have this saying in Access Consciousness. It's an X-Men tool. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And when you say that phrase many times over, you can't make sense of it. It's kind of like it flips itself on its head many, many times, and then you just can't really comprehend and cognitize what that is. And so you kind of give up. And that's really what it's for, is to create a sense of giving up in like where your mind gives up. You give up trying to figure something out, and you go to space, you go to awareness, and stop trying to think about stuff. And I've been using that tool a lot, with a lot of awareness of where I started to really use my magic against me. And there was this one time that I remember, I mean, I know there were a lot of them, but this one memory that I've been playing with, where I created something, I actualized it, like something actualized basically in a very short period of time, very magically. It was like the whole universe swept in and was like, here you go. And I was like, I would like to have this. And then it was like, here you go. And later on, I was made very wrong for it. I was, accused of all kinds of things. And I was really, like kind of scolded and all of that. And I was just like an elementary school age girl. I was pretty, fairly young. And um, I didn't really realize that this really stuck with me. And uh, it was like when I had this memory, I was like, wow, that was a moment where I really started to shut myself down. And I started to, because I was so magical. And again, like I'm sharing the story, um, not because I think it's particularly interesting. It's more to demonstrate something that may hopefully contribute to you. Is this place where I took all of my capacities, all of the energetics that I was aware of, like all the psychic capacities that I had with other people, and I started to use it to prevent, any sort of intensity coming my way, any sort of like heavily judgmental energy that would shut me down. So I started to like take all of these energies and be as creative as I was as this little magician, and start to use them to build this fortress around myself where I wouldn't be hurt by all of that as much. And it's amazing. I mean, to me, the capacity to do something like that energetically as a very young child, it's pretty incredible. And I know so many people that have those capacities and that have, had experiences like that as children. And not just one, many probably. And it's something that we explore a lot in access consciousness classes and in my private sessions with people. And it's amazing when these seemingly tiny little memories that come up. And like this one for me, it was like came up and I was like, wow, I did, like when it came up as something to look at, I was like, I don't even, like, this is just so not a big deal. I can't believe this is even the thing that's presenting itself right now. But I know to follow the energy and I know to follow where things lead. And so I did. And it really changed my life, actually. And so what is it that you are aware of? What have you always been aware of that instead of not basically just making it not relevant to you, like recognizing people have lots of points of views, people are threatened, people are scared, people are terrified by magical creatures. So perhaps people have been terrified of you, scared of you, threatened by you, intimidated by you. And instead of, when we're kids, it's so easy for people to just go boom, and deliver a level of judgment, or some sort of gaslighting where you start to doubt yourself or whatever it may be, some energy that is designed to be so intense for you that you stop with that. You stop being intimidating, you stop being terrifying, you stop being threatening and evocative or whatever. And so how, did you have experiences like that as a young creature? And where did you start to, if so, where did you start to use all of that against you, turning your magic, turning your capacities against you instead of using them to create? And one of the things that happens when we do that is like, we start to build this wall around ourselves with our magic. It's like, well, I could actualize things out of thin air. I could be really threatening to people. Like I could be so energized and exuberant and alive and dynamic and vibrant and uninhibited and free and, all those energies. Like I could be all of that. And everybody around me would just be super uncomfortable. And I'm 5, or whatever, or 10 or 15 or, 40. Or I could just make life easier for myself and I could just use all of that power. Because lightness, exuberance, joy, vitality, vibrancy, sexual energy is power. Do not underestimate the power of those energies. They are very powerful. So you can use it as power to actualize things, to be different in the world. And of course, as children, unless you have somebody kind of holding your hand through that process, it's highly unlikely that we're going to do that, and that's appropriate. We need to get by, we need to survive, we need to be okay. And then but the thing is what we do is we take that power and we start putting rock after brick after rock after brick after cement after mortar, on top of itself, and we build this big wall around ourselves. And it's like it becomes easier in a way to keep the world out, and then it also becomes easier to just kind of handle stuff, and to keep you in. So it's like we build these walls, these barriers to keep the world out, to keep ourselves in. So we are safe from the world is safe from us. Nobody moves, nobody gets hurt. And from there, then it's like the magic just has to continue being turned. Like we have to keep turning it against ourselves in order to be comfortable and to be, to have that sense of, like that we're okay. And I like, and so, but when we start to realize that that's what we've done, like for me, it's been this huge purging this past couple weeks of a lot of barriers and structures in my body. And so melting a lot of structures in my body that are part of the energetics that hold those walls in place, and really starting to lower my barriers and like take those old crusty brick walls apart and be like, you know what? Here I am, the world can come in, I can go out, whatever, I don't really care. I'm going to have my magic now in a productive way, in a beautiful way, in a way where I actualize, phenomenons. And it's way easier to do that as an adult when you have the resources and the presence with yourself and the intimacy with you and your body to explore these things. And even so, it can really require support. I mean, I have had a lot of support in this process over the past few weeks and years and decades. I'm a big fan of all kinds of body work and energy work and private sessions and classes. And, I really, a lot of people would think ridiculous the degree to which I resource myself as a creative being. And I dare say that to live in this world that is so hell-bent against magical creatures, for me, it's required. It's required for me to thrive. And I mean, also even just survive. But I'm not interested in surviving. I'm interested in like dynamically thriving and having that magic. And it's just it's this beautiful process that takes time and just exploring, and kind of one brick at a time you take out of the wall and you see what's there. And it's also can be very, very uncomfortable. Like that's one of the things I've been really, that's been up for me, is just this incredible discomfort as I strip away the barriers that have been hiding all the things. And then it's like, oh gosh, people are going to see me now. Like I can't hide behind those walls anymore. I have to let people in now in a different way, and be present with myself in a different way. And it's been fucking amazing. I mean, I've also had a lot of days of crying and just like purging, and letting go, and really deep diving with myself and my body. And also it has been so miraculous, and just something that I just really love to explore. I'm so fascinated by the degree to which we really have the capacity to undo anything that is sticking us, whether it's in our physical body or energetically. It could be relationally, it could be illness, it could be, financial illness, it could be, diminished business, like family, whatever, all those areas, and we have such a capacity. We have so many more capacities than we think we do, to, once we stop using all that of our power against ourselves, and we're still building the brick wall, decades and upon decades later. Well, you can also stop and you can undo it relatively quickly. And, sometimes it does require some support. And that's one of the things that I've really been looking at lately is just how, in this hyper-connected world on internet, we are also so many people are so alone. There's so much separation and aloneness, and I would love to change that. I mean, I'm asking for that for myself. I'm asking for more beautiful people around me, more in-person, intimate, gatherings and experiences, and just more engagement in a very different way. I think that's also partly why I want to do Substack, is because I have there's so many things that I'm constantly kind of writing in my head, and I don't write them and I don't share them with anybody. And I'd love to have a place for more like in-depth, intimate conversations. And that feels like a really cool place for that. So maybe this has been a contribution to you in some way. I would just encourage you, a question that Gary Douglas gave me, who's the founder of Access Consciousness, the other day was, what do you desire that you're not allowing? And that has been a really beautiful question to be asking myself. It's created a lot of discomfort for me, but it's really been something that I've been exploring, because as part of totally turning our magic down, we stop telling ourselves, we stop even allowing ourselves to have clarity about what it is that we desire, period. Because if you did know, you might recognize that, what's going on in your life right now is too small. And that's something I'm constantly looking at. And, maybe some would say I have a big life. I don't feel like I have a big life. I mean, I actually, a lot of times there's a sense of it's way too small for me. Got to go big, got to go bigger. And that doesn't mean that there's no gratitude for what I have. It's just, I like to expand dynamically, powerfully, rapidly, and with ease. And just choosing more and more of that all the time. It's something that's available to all of us if we choose it. You have to be willing to be a very different creature on the planet to actualize the things that you know you can and would like to with ease. And that's just, it's something that is very, it's so funny that ease is so hard, but in a way it kind of is. And I say that with everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. But choosing ease in our lives is a very courageous choice. Choosing to have magic, choosing to be as big as we are, not make things relevant, have a lot of allowance and vulnerability with the world and with ourselves. That's living as a very different creature. And I just would love to have more of that. And what can we all contribute to each other in having more of that, choosing that, finding out what that is for each one of us, because it's so different for each person. And if there's ever something that I can contribute to you, please reach out. You can email info@heathernichols.com, private sessions. I'm going to start to be doing a lot more private sessions here in Boulder, Colorado, where I live. Private retreats and intensives, and I do a lot of stuff online. And there's also, all of my classes. My generative business pods is starting next week, and that's a really cool way to get some beautiful support, both from me and from the community of people that do the class. It's a 6-month journey of just so much beautiful creation and exploration, and so lots of possibilities, foundation classes, 3-day body classes, all kinds of stuff all over the world. Super fun. And I'm just very grateful to get to do this and to have these conversations. And so thank you for listening, tuning in, being you. And what else is possible that we've never considered? What do you desire that you have never allowed? Take care. Thank you for joining me for the Creation of Living podcast. If this conversation was inspiring to you, share the love. To work privately with me or for info on my upcoming classes and retreats, go to heathernichols.com. Have a beautiful day, and remember that the world thrives when you do.